The Galactic Empire spanned 1,000 star systems, its influence stretching across the cosmic void with technology millennia beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Empire had long considered itself invincible, but then came Earth. This small blue planet on the fringes of the Empire's domain had done the unthinkable. It had resisted for months. The Empire's vastly superior fleets had been held at bay by the tenacity and ingenuity of Earth's defenders. It was a humiliation the Empire could not abide. In the obsidian halls of the Imperial Palace, the Emperor's advisors schemed. "We must neutralize Earth's leadership," hissed Kook, the Emperor's spy master. "Cut off the head, and the body will wither." The Emperor nodded, his eyes glowing in the dim light. "Send in the void wraiths." Far from the machinations of power, in a hidden temple mauled in the mountains of Japan, a figure stirred. Satoru, last master of an ancient order of ninjas, opened his eyes. He could sense a disturbance in the key of the universe. A great threat was coming, one that would require all his skill to confront. Silently, he began to prepare across the light years in the twilight city of Zokra. Zork's grandmaster of the Void Wraiths received his orders. His black eyes claimed the Void Wraiths were the most feared assassins in the galaxy. Their name whispered in dread. On 100 worlds, they had never failed a mission. They would not fail now. As his ship sliced through the stars towards Earth, Zorks reviewed the doses of his targets. Generals, scientists, politicians, the humans whose brilliance and determination had so far thwarted the Empire's might. One by one, he would extinguish their lives, and with them, Earth resistance. But as he studied the blue planet spinning on his view screen, Zorks felt an unfamiliar sensation prickle at the back of his neck. It was almost like anticipation. He dismissed the feeling immediately. There could be no room for doubt, not for a Void Wraith on the hunt. Assassins from the stars. The Void Wraith's ship was a dagger of sleek black metal, designed for stealth and speed. As it entered Earth's atmosphere, undetected, Zorks and his team of assassins prepared their equipment. They were clad in midnight armor that shimmered and shifted, blending into any background. Their weapons were works of lethal art, plasma blades that could slice through any material, neurotoxin darts that could fell an army, phase shifters that could walk through walls. But their greatest asset was their cloaking technology, powered by dark energy harnessed from the farthest reaches of space. Their cloaking fields didn't just hide them from sight, but from all forms of detection. Once activated, a Void Wraith was a ghost, non-existent to the universe, until the moment they struck. As the assassins fanned out across the globe, Zorks couldn't shake a sense of unease. It was as if the shadows themselves had eyes watching their every move. He shook off the feeling it was impossible. No one could track a Void Wraith, and yet in the neon-lit streets of Tokyo, a figure moved unseen. Satoru, wrapped in the dark robes of his ancient order, followed the key trail of the intruders. His senses, honed by a lifetime of training, could perceive what no technology could. There was a disturbance in the flow of the universe, a ripple of malevolent intent. The ninja melted into the crowd, a shadow among shadows, hunting those who thought themselves the hunters. Satoru was a living legend, though few knew his name born into a long line of ninjas. He had been training in the ancient arts since before he could walk. For generations, Sat's family had served as silent guardians, protecting the world from threats both ancient and new. They were masters of stealth and combat, able to blend into any environment, to strike without warning and vanish without a trace. As the last of his line, Satoru carried the weight of this legacy on his shoulders. He had honed his body and mind to the peak of human potential, mastering techniques that most would consider impossible. He could scale sheer walls with his fingertips, walk across water, even slow his heartbeat to the point of appearing dead. His senses were so acute that he could hear a whisper across a noisy room, could feel the displacement of air from a punch before it was thrown. But Satoru's greatest skill was his mastery of ki, the life energy that flowed through all things. He could sense the ki of others, could read their intentions, could even manipulate his own ki to perform feats that defied explanation. Now, as he tracked the otherworldly assassins across the sprawling metropolis, Sator knew he faced his greatest challenge yet. But he did not fear. He had trained his whole life. For this moment, he would not fail in his duty. He was Earth's silent guardian, and he would protect his world, no matter the cost. In the depths of the Imperial Palace, Krolok frowned at the reports from Earth. The assassinations were proceeding as planned, key figures falling one by one to the Void Rat's unstoppable skills, and yet there were anomalies. Unexplained setbacks, assassins going dark, their fates unknown. It was as if an unseen force was working against them, a phantom that struck from the shadows and vanished without a trace. Krolok's frown deepened. He had no proof, but a suspicion. Noted him. Could the humans have a guardian of their own, a being whose skills matched those of the Void race? It seemed impossible, and yet what other explanation was their ancient techniques? This alien technology in the shadow of Mount Fuji, an ancient battle played out with modern stakes. On one side, Zorks and his elite assassins armed with the most advanced stealth technology in the galaxy. On the other, Satoru armed with nothing but the skills and wisdom of his ancestors. It was a dance of death, played out in silence. The Void Wraiths' cloaking fields made them invisible to the naked eye, but to Sat's key sense they blazed like dark suns. He could feel their every move, predict their every strike. One by one the assassins felt Asao's skills. A whisper of wind and the shuriken found its mark, shattering a cloaking device. A flicker, a shadow, and a plasma blade clattered to the ground. Its owner's hand severed at the wrist. The Void Wraiths, so used to being the hunters, found themselves hunted, stalked by an unseen predator more fearsome than anything they had ever encountered. In the midst of the Chaos Orcs and Sator met blade to blade, old steel against new plasma. They were a contrast in every way. Zorg's hulking alien form against Satoru's lean human grace, the assassin's high-tech armor against the ninja's simple robes, but in skill they were evenly matched. They fought in a blur of motion, strike and counter-strike, heft and riposte around them, the battle rage. But they were lost in their own deadly dance. In the end, it was not technology or trickery that decided the battle, but pure skill and iron will. In a final desperate lunge, Zorg overextended, and Sat's blade found the gap in his armor. The Grandmaster of the Void Wraiths fell, his dark blood staining the ancient soil. As the last of the assassins fell or fled, Satoru stood amidst the carnage, his blade dripping, his eyes hard. He had defended his world, but he knew this was only the beginning. The Galactic Empire would not take this defeat lightly. They would return with new weapons, new strategies, and he would be ready. A galaxy shaken in the Imperial Palace. Shock and disbelief rippled through the court as news of the Void Wraiths' defeat reached them. It was unthinkable. The most elite assassins in the galaxy defeated by a single primitively armed human. The Emperor was furious. He demanded answers, explanations, retribution. But in the end, the facts were undeniable. The humans, for all their technological inferiority, had a weapon the Empire did not understand, a weapon named Satoru. On Earth, the news of the forwarded assassination attempt spread like wildfire. The world's leaders, who had fought themselves alone in their fight, now realized they had a powerful ally, an ally who represented the best of human skill, determination, and courage. But Saturn knew the fight was far from over. He had beaten back the Void Race. But the Galactic Empire was vast, its resources nearly limitless. They would come again, and he could not defend the entire planet alone. In the ancient halls of his order, Satori gathered his few remaining disciples. It was time, he told them, to emerge from the shadows, time to share their knowledge, to train a new generation of guardians. The war for Earth's future would be fought on many fronts, and humanity would need every skill, every tactic, every warrior it could muster. As he stepped out into the light, Satoru knew the road ahead would be hard. The Empire would not rest until Earth was under its heel or reduced to ashes, but he also knew that the human spirit was indomitable against the might of the galaxy. Earth would not stand alone, it would fight, and it would win. For in the end, the Empire had made a grave mistake. They had believed that technology was the ultimate power, that with enough advanced weapons and ships, they could conquer anything. But they have forgotten the oldest truth of warfare, that in the end, it is not the weapon that wins the battle, but the hand that wields it and the heart that guides it. And in that Earth had no equal. The battle for Earth had only just begun, but with warriors like Satoru leading the way, the outcome was no longer certain. The Galactic Empire had wanted a world to conquer. Instead, they had awoken a sleeping giant, a world ready to fight for its freedom. To the last breath, the galaxy would never be the same.